you want to walk us through what delivering 1 million to Tori means?
Well, it means that we are in the Gale Swift fork, and it's also going to be added to the 5.0 version that's currently in alpha. We have a new objective where you have to collect a certain amount of gold and then bring it to the other professor in the observatory in Agart on the first floor, Tori, who cares not for whatever pseudoscience that Dr. Corey cares for, instead just wants that money. And yeah, we've got to give him $1 million to clear off one of our 2 required objectives, that along with the 10 key item objective. And we also have a plethora of boss hunts that we can go through. We need to get 3 of those, and then it will be win game.
That's right. So no Zeroma's fight tonight, folks. So we're going to be trying to get that money, get those key items, take down 3 bosses. Now, I've been told that taking down a boss in this flag set might not be your standard hitting him over the head with a stick.
Well, it looks like everybody is kind of joining Tori in for the cash grab, because we do have the wacky flag of payable Golbez on, which means that any boss spot can be bribed and paid off for 5 times the amount of gold, 5 times the max HP amount. So 1,000 hit points, pay him 5,000 gold at Antlion Cave, you get to go ahead and move on. So we're not going to see Zeromus. We may not see too many of these bosses here. It's going to depend on how these runners approach it, because that 1 million gold is a lot of gold here in Free Enterprise. For reference sake, that's 2 adamant armors, if adamant armors were in the shops. Yeah.
That's right. And we will be getting a little bit of gold to start. So the starting kit for all 3 kits is money. So they'll be getting a random 60,000 to 240,000 gold to begin with. They will get a gear set. All characters will come fully equipped with max tier 5, so they don't have to worry too much about finding at least something to begin with. And they will be going through the moon to get to underground. So Force Hook is on, but so is K Unsafer, which means the moon will be gating the underground. Monster boxes are not on tonight, but summon and moon altars are. So get the darkness crystal, go to the moon, and start looking for your hook. We know that the magma key will be buried probably somewhere deep in the underground. So it's tough tonight. All of these are tough, which means spending that starting money, bribing those bosses is going to feel extremely tempting for our J. Brun, TR, and Shiro, our runners tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, because this is such a new flag set. There is not an established meta, really, as far as how these runners are going to what the community has determined is the most effective or fastest way to go about getting a large amount of gold like this. So it's going to be interesting to see how Shiro and Jabron, our runners here on the Restream, tackle this and figure out what strategy they're going to want to take. Plus, you do have that pull of the payable Golbez made very attractive by that K Unsafer flag you mentioned. We're not going to have access to the underground unless we get the hook from the moon. So you're going to probably need to spend some money in order to get through those at an early stage. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they approach this and how they balance collecting a large sum of money and also spending it.
Exactly right. So we've got some interesting bosses here that we're looking for tonight. Dark Knight Cecil, Mylon Zed, Val Valis, the Guards, Calbrina, Asura, the D-Lunars, and Pale Dim. So some tough, some not so tough, but we are off to the races. So let's see how we start off.
We get Palm alongside Sid, and a turtle gives us the Luca key, and that looked to be about 150,000 gold to start off with.
About 150,000. That Luca key is not going to come into play for quite a while. We know that for sure. There are a lot of characters on this flag set, so characters are randomized, but free and gated locations are available. So these players will have a chance to get a decent party, put together who they want before they begin their pursuit of the Darkness Crystal.
Relaxed is on there as well, so early Cecil, and probably even more interestingly, early Fusoya.
Or maybe not. I guess we'll find out in a moment.
Also true.
Yeah. We're going to see a little bit of divergence already with Jay Brun heading on over to Eblin and Shiru going to go check that mist cave.
Yeah, you are looking for bosses. You've got 8 bosses that you're trying to look for. I definitely appreciate trying to get this out of the way.
It makes sense. Now, one thing that we're not looking for in a boss is the demist. So tonight, the free item in Toroya, which often is moved to Rydia's mom, gated by the demist boss, will actually be free once these runners get underground by visiting Sid in the dwarf castle. So we're looking for bosses, but we're not really looking for that demist tonight.
Well, Jay Brun finding all the monster boxes here in the left tower of Eblin Castle. Looking for that early game equipment. We do have T Wildish on for equipment, so there's a lot of really good gear potentially available to these runners. I think that's all 3 monster boxes in that left tower, so the rest of the tower is free to loot at least.
Absolutely. And we also have minimum tier 3 on for loot. So we're not going to be finding any of those extremely early game, very cheap to sell items. There's going to be at least some level of value in what they're finding, be that simply monetary.
Yeah, and that kind of, again, that comes to that push and pull as far as, you've got a way of quickly getting through fights. You might be able to find some really strong gear here that helps this party. An early Artemis bow for Sid could go a long way in making some of these early fights quick. You don't have to necessarily spend the time, or spend the money. So
yeah, there's no max tier on the items, so you could open a crystal at any stage. It's possible, more likely the further behind gates you get.
Yeah, so far Eblin Castle having some decent weaponry, some Artemis arrows to go with the defense sword, crystal ring, so some very good things. I particularly like a crystal ring on Sid early on to help with that agility, make him go a little bit faster and do more damage.
That's an extremely nice pickup. Shiro looted through Mist and is now just picked up a Mura in case she finds an edge. So like you see, top tier gear available in the earliest places. And it looks like a Rosa will be joining Shiro shortly.
Always nice to have a white mage in the party early on. Meanwhile, in Mysidia, Jay Brun picks up Yang and Edward.
It might not be who you were hoping to find when you popped into Mysidia. Now, the spoon flag is on, which means Edward's best and most hilarious weapon is available if they find it. But otherwise, you're going to have to work a little bit harder to get those characters going aggressively.
One thing that will also help, again, going back to the theme of the need or benefits of spending the money rather than just working for the objective, is that the S Wildish flag is on. Now, this is a Gale Swift flag, exclusive flag on our fork, where you have slightly better gear on the overworld. You can find those tier 5 items that are normally gated behind shops in the underworld. You saw some samurai arrows in Mysidia, which are usually a little bit harder to get. You got to go underground, so these runners can find some pretty decent equipment to help them out if there's not a lot of help in the actual the chests for them.
That's right. The opposite of that, though, S unsafe is on. So unsafe shops, which means that priority items like life potions, cure 2s, and star veils are not necessarily guaranteed to be readily available. So there is a downside. So you might find some amazing stuff, but you might not find the stuff that you're expecting to.
Yeah, that's where Shiro, her finding that Rosa very early on is a nice bit of safety and peace of mind there, because you at least have some sort of healing as you start going around that lunar subterrane or other areas.
Exactly. Shiro's just cleaned out the Damsian basement, found a light sword, a couple other things, sellable things. Jay Brun's heading on up Ordeals, finds a ninja sword, probably hoping he gets an edge or something. Oh, similar, and Shiru finds her second Rosa of the Seed.
And Jabrun finds Fusoya. So we are operating under the usual rules for Fusoya here on this in Free Enterprise. So we'll start off with 500 HP and a handful of spells. But every boss that is either defeated or paid off will increase that spell list by 3 and give him another 100 max HP.
Yeah, you have to think that with a Sid who's pretty good early and a Fusoya in hand, Jabrun's going to feel confident going all the way up Ordeals. Decides not to bribe that required boss, the Baron Guards, and finds that Fu only has Venom and Fire 1 available.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that is the downside of early Fusoya of an early Fusoya. You're really at the mercy of that very limited spell list. He can get those tier 3 spells relatively quickly, as well as Virus and Nuke can happen any time. Though I believe the randomization is weighted to try and push those back a little bit further in the queue. But
some nice heads up work here from Jabrun using the Change Rod to turn the guards into pigs, which will nerf some of their spell casting. They can still change into pigs, but size will not work. So really good heads-up play to nerf them. Now, when Shiru heads up, Shiru was able to find a Mute Knife. Shouldn't have as much challenge as we're seeing Jabrun have here.
Yeah, being able to take advantage of the mage typing that the Baron Guards have is always a huge boost.
Shiru doing some equipping, getting those characters ready to rock. Jabrun's still slowly working through those Baron Guards turned Porcine. Porcine? I'm not sure.
Looks like Jabrun also has that Mute Knife as well as an Assassin Dagger. Could try for a swoon. Could have tried for a swoon proc, by trying to time the swing with the Assassin's Dagger right after the guard took their turn.
Really curious why that Mute Knife didn't make its way out before now, but I suppose Jabrun is through.
You know, may have been a case they've spent a lot of they've already done a lot of looting. You know, may have just not registered they had it. I know I've had countless times where I've looked in my inventory and said, "Hey, that would have been useful 30 seconds ago, huh?"
Speaking of looting, Shiru sold a bunch of stuff and is up to 320,000 gold in hand, almost 1/3 of the way to that $1 million research grant that they need to bring to Tori.
Yeah, that'll. Again, you know, it's either seed money to spend and get some of these bosses, or get that objective taken care of early. Meanwhile, Jabrun it's in the process of taking care of an objective on his own, getting Mylon Z here on the vanilla spot.
Ordeal seems to really have the goods when it comes to required bosses, so we might very quickly be into a key item and gold chase.
Yeah, that's you know, and you know, I think that 10 key items is where our K-On Safer flag is really going to come into play. If there's not a lot here on Blue Planet, you're going to have to really be digging those lunar altars to try and get those items, or at least get that hook to try and get underground and add to your collection down there.
It's worth noting, of course, that the hook might not actually be on the moon, but the key item that gates the hook has to be on the moon. So it could be an earth crystal at the Masamune altar. It could be a harp at Cave Bahamut. So they could be back and forth a little bit as they check certain things out.
Very true, very true. We'll see here Jabrun getting the Darkness Crystal, so there is that moon access waiting for them, and a Sparkle.
Well, there are 2 sparkles available for the boss check here, and it is one of them.
Oh
So
wow.
3 up,
So
3 down. Wow.
that's yeah, that's gonna definitely make the strategy much more focused for Jabron. Get money and try to get through those checks as quickly as you can, because yeah.
Absolutely. And with ordeals being 100% hard required, Shira really needs some of these broader checks she's doing to pay out. If they don't, then she could end up a little bit behind getting to the moon. That will depend on what Jbrun chooses to do, of course.
Yeah, I fortunately for Shiro, the upside is that even if they are zonks because of the wildish and the lack of caps, still a good chance of getting something that's worth either worth a good chunk of change or will help the party or a future party take on different challenges. So not necessarily going to be a bad thing for her. But you are correct. She does have to get to ordeals at some point, and if she had that Fusoya, that would definitely incentivize her to go up there, because you want to get him powered up as quickly as you can so he can actually contribute.
Folks, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty right now. Our incredible restreamer Beauty and Discovery is working on it. So just a quick moment to shout out Beauty and our tracker Rex Soul, who are making this race possible by pushing buttons, connecting cords in the background. I assume what's going on right now is Beauty is got 2 wires and he's licking his fingers, getting ready to pinch the copper ends on each one to connect in to those races. So thank you to them for working with us tonight.
Yeah, no. Our trackers and our restreamers definitely are the glue that holds this thing together, because it's really easy to sit here and talk about this thing and have a good time, but trying to keep this thing running on the back end is very difficult.
And we seem to be back. Shiru is at the Water Hag fighting the boss of Fabul. Meanwhile, Jbrun has encountered the King and Queen of Eblin, who have assured that Jbrun that he will be brought down to the Hades. I think he might be okay there in the Baronin, though.
Well, I know a lot of people have been stuck in the Hades ever since Hades 2 came out a few weeks ago, so I can appreciate that.
And I still haven't played Hades. I got to get around to it one of these days.
Yeah, I have a good time with it. I think it's a lot of fun. Almost as much fun as hitting a fire 3 on the King Queen Eblin and making very short work of them, getting a key item, getting Rydia maybe in the party.
Now I know, and okay, so Jbrun's going to say no thanks to Rydia. Shiru has found a Bahamut orb. I don't know if she sold it, but there is definitely that potential for power if Shiru goes that way.
Yeah, no. If she saved it, I would expect Rydia to be in that party. But it's also 30,000 gold, so I can understand selling it.
Exactly. Jbrun also got the Crystal, which we're not going to be fighting Zeromus today. But that is a key item. So that gets Jbrun to 3 of those required 10 key items. I missed what the reward was at Fabul, but...
Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, I think it was a ribbon.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so again, we're seeing that broader key item pool available, key item slot or hunt available. We're just not seeing as many as maybe you'd like if you've got to get to 10. Shira, it looks like, is making her way down towards ordeals.
Yeah, this is and our tracker Rexol confirming it was a ribbon. Thank you, Rex. Yeah, this is a pretty traditional opening route. Just go through, kind of go in the vanilla order as far as the bosses, and just start building up your strength and making your way through. So, we'll be going up ordeals. We'll be getting 3 objectives here, and the Darkness Crystal, and also getting that Fusoya with a little bit more early strength.
I don't know if you noticed, but Jabrun just bribed the boss of the waterfall about 11,000 gold to get 3 new spells on that foo. Pretty good rate.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good return on investment. So we're gonna.
I think that was the first. I do think that was the first boss we've seen bribed as well.
I think they did. I think he did the first boss at Baron Inn, since that's cheap. Question chat: what determines the price of a boss? It's 5 times the amount of HP. So Antlion here should be 5,000 gold, since it's 1,000 max HP. It's the evil wall down here.
And to be clear, that's the spot, not the actual creatures. So if there's
Correct.
weird stuff going on because we've got a particular boss there, that doesn't take it into effect. It's the default amount.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to get the details in there.
Yeah, no, it is, because sometimes those details can make all the difference between, okay, this is pretty easy, to, oh wait, what the heck just happened?
Jabrun is tossing out some more gold, got through Antlion, no problem, and is now heading up the back of the mountain where he'll be able to acquire a cane, and there's some dolls.
So Jabrun already has his 3 required bosses, but hey, can't hurt to get some more. Most importantly, though, I think getting that cane is going to be a big upgrade over Yan. Just having that ability to equip these powerful weapons here available and get that power going.
Absolutely. Jabrun has been throwing out the money, and I don't know if you noticed, but he is under 100,000 now. So there's a large cash money discrepancy between what Jabrun has, who's done less looting than Shiru, who's done less selling than Shiru. Shiru having over 300,000. And we have to keep that in mind because this one's all about the money.
Yeah, and obviously, we'll see if Jabrun goes ahead and does that looting to match Shiru. It could be a situation where he decides to try and get his gold through a grind of some sort on the moon, perhaps. There are a few different places where if you can find sirens in the shops available here in the overworld with that S Wildish flag, you might be able to get something nice. He's going to reset out of that ribbon in the Vabul defense. Personally, I think if you have sirens and an hourglass, one particularly cheeky option is the pink puffs. They are worth a lot of gold.
You're not wrong. There's good cash there and decent experience. Shiru got through the first fight on Ordeals a lot faster than Jabrun did. No struggling with ad hoc pig creation. The Mylon Zed was a little bit tougher, but got through okay. And Jabrun has gone to raise the whale.
Yeah, Jabrun's done all the key item checks available on the overworld. Didn't get anything that gated anything else here on the on so far. So that, like you said, our underground access is going to be gated in some way, shape, or form on that moon. So might as well start going up there. Going to be interesting to see how Jabrun tackles this, because that's not going to be an easy moon to fight with this party, and doesn't have the gold resource that Shiru has.
There's a lot of options here. Looks like we may be having a little bit more issues with Shiru's stream, but we will keep on top of that, and we'll keep on what's going on with Jabrunter here.
So we'll get a character check here at the Lunar Dais and see if Jabrun makes any more changes at the party, as Shiru is back and ready to go.
Yeah, that Mylon Zed is the second boss objective required. We know that Shiru's going to get the third and final boss objective needed on the other side. Meanwhile, a Porum shows up for Jabrun on that altar check, and Jabrun says, Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, I think I saw that Jabrun's Fusoya does have exit by now. Um, that would actually be a consideration for taking an early Porum. Is get a few levels on her and get that exit if you're going to be running around the lunar subterrane.
Now, Roddy, do you know if you bribe the boss, do you get the experience?
You do not. So that presents a little bit of a challenge as far as trying to get powered up, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's very good that the K win is on instead of or the O win flag is on instead of O crystal, because I think these runners would be really scrambling after paying off some of these bosses to try and get that experience after the fact.
Absolutely. Jbrun going through his inventory now is up to 300,000 in cash. But seems to be, decides not to take any of the items. Bacchus wine's available on the moon. That's where I always get my Bacchus wine, straight from the moon.
That is genuine moonshine, I believe.
Exactly. You got it in one. Shiru, no problem getting through the Pale Dim in the mirror room. She's got her Darkness Crystal. We'll see what her next play is. Meanwhile, Jbrun checking out Cave Bahamut.
Yeah, this is one of the more expensive bosses to bribe, so may just be doing a face check and see if it's something that can be handled. We've seen we've seen pretty much all of our free bosses that we can handle at this point in the Kaipo Guards and King Queen Evelyn. The Dark Imps are technically free bosses because they don't have the boss bit and can be frozen with an hourglass or other things. That's not free.
Oh no, Golbez. Oh, that's not fun at all.
Well,
Now, Roddy, when was the last time you saw someone full loot Cave Bahamut?
That's one of my areas I do like to loot, so that's on me. Jbrun decides to live up to the flag and go pay the Golbez and reset out because it wasn't a key item.
Probably the right move there. And I mean, that's something you can do if you just want to get that hook access. You can save scum these very easily. Boy, this is an interesting flag set.
Yeah, no, there is a lot of different ways to approach this. So it's fascinating so far seeing how the runners are doing it. Jbrun being a little bit more quick to spend that gold, but also being smart about how he spent it. Like I said, that save scum to check Golbez to see if it was a key item and then say, nope, this is a very expensive boss to pay off. I'm not going to do it. Let's get out of here.
It looks like Shiru chose to take the fight against the first fight in Baron Inn. Very quickly was able to knock it out with a cast of Ice 2. We'll get the King and Queen Evelyn, and then we'll see if she decides to take Iridia. Jbrun is going to find out that the boss at the Mura altar is... Doesn't matter. We're bribing them. We're seeing its next gal, and we are out. I guess you don't get to see what the boss is. Oh, that's fascinating.
Not at these spots, no. You kind of have to, but conversely, both these runners have their objectives. They're good on boss hunts. They don't really care. They don't need, like you pointed out earlier, they don't need to worry about that demist. They just need to get underground to talk to Sid to get that key item check. So, it's information that's nice to have, but not as vital as it would be in other situations. So,
yeah, I mean, my default is get as much information as possible, but I completely understand why you're just gonna save scum through these bosses and try to spend as little money as possible. Now, since you're trying to spend as little money as possible, but you want to get the most key items possible, do you spend the money on the Ribbon Room boss first, or do you go to the White Spear room first?
Since Jbrun is save scumming, I do think you go ahead and do the Ribbon Room first, just because if it is nothing, you can reset out of it. But it's 2 for the price of 1. I think it's worth I think it's worth prioritizing that check over the other areas.
It's going to be a much pricier check. So if the hook is at the ribbon, the other one, geez, I can never keep them straight. Sorry, that's just a little secret about me. I don't keep these rooms straight. But yeah, you're exactly right. Of course, we're going to go for the 2-for-1.
Getting the Baron key is going to reset out. Gonna keep that money in the take that knowledge, like you said, getting that knowledge and forethought, and is going to go ahead and do the White Spear altar here, pay that off, and find out if this is the hook directly. No, it's a white shirt, so probably at least gonna check the Masamune altar and reset out after accidentally hitting the new game, which is again something that I have certainly never ever done.
I absolutely did not do that the last time I played Free Enterprise.
Yeah, we laugh because we've been there and we've just kind of shook our heads and moved on with it. And so yeah, at least gonna check the Masamune altar. I don't know if unless there's nothing here, Jabrun may go check the Crystal Sword altar. But Justin Avenger, wow, he's gonna keep that for that cane though. Oh nope, decides against it.
Now on the other side, we see Shiru cleaning out her inventory, up over 660,000 pieces of gold. So Shiru is 2/3 of the way to that big $1 million donation objective. I sound like I'm commentating on a famous speedrunning fundraising event now, don't I?
Either that or with the help of viewers like you, we can make our public broadcasting system all the better.
Oh, there we go.
We don't have tote bags, I'm sorry.
Also, our small, adorable, creatures are not nearly as good as the Muppets. But really, Palamporum, they're pretty cute. Oh, and Jabrun finds the hook at the crystal altar.
Now it'll be interesting. Does Jabrun, the Baron key is 2 key items. It could be gating a chain of key items as well. So deciding not to spend the money on the Baron key, gonna go chase the hook. This is a bit of a gamble in my opinion. I think there's enough options in the underground where and we only need 10 out of 17, so it's not going to be a major risk. But it is a bit of a risk.
The likelihood that the Baron key gates everything, it's pretty tough because it would have to gate. Well, you would need it to gate 8 of those items. So the Baron key would be the first one, Earth Crystal Harp, Tower Key, Pan, Rat Tail. I don't know that you get there. Now, obviously you make it harder because you have to do everything, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I think it would depend a lot on what depends on what the underground checks lead to and how many there are. Because if you're doing Twin Harp, that if you get stuck doing Twin Harp, that's gonna eat up more time than the 2 checks in Baron Castle. So I don't know. It's likely not going to come back. It's likely not going to be catastrophic for Jabrun. It may be faster or maybe slower to avoid it. But it's a bit of a gamble.
Probably the dream situation here for Shiru is that Baron Key blocks Pan, and Pan, which is going to give you 3 shots at a key item, assuming you don't do Sheila 1 first. That pays out 2 or 3. Like that would be the best situation for Shiru and the worst one for Jabrun, who gets a crystal sword for turning in the pink tail for the Cecil he doesn't have, but that crystal sword will sell for some serious dollars.
Yeah, no, that's a big chunk of change right there. That'll help cover some of Jabrun's early spending. Because, yeah, that's I think the resale on that is over 100,000 gold right there. So big,
I want
big, big chunk of change there to get to that 1 million target.
I want to say 130, but I'm not looking
Yeah,
it up.
sounds about right.
Shiru's going to raise the whale. Jabrun is going to go back and finish off Castle Eplin, having looted most of it previously. Found all 3 of those monster boxes in the left tower.
Yeah, Shiro has been very thorough here on the overworld as far as her looting, and we see that with the amount of gold that she has. She is in a very good situation. She is in a very good situation as far as having money. You know, almost just shy of 700,000 gold. That's a lot of good stuff that's been sold here on the overworld. So is going to do Cast Lebanon. Probably should get her pretty close to that target. The question is though, you know, is that going to cost her? No. You know, she still needs those 10 key items. So is that gonna make it harder for her to afford those lunar checks?
It's a really interesting thing. I would think that if you're Shiru, you've built up this cash nest egg, you go to the moon, you see what you can find, you probably are taking a few extra chests while you're up there. But you have to be careful. You can't really loot that lunar subterrane, not with random monster boxes. She certainly won't have the levels to do it. Jabrun's finding some pretty good loot behind those monster boxes, though, so that should help him in his quest to 1 million.
Yeah, yeah, no, that lunar sub. Yeah, I just was thinking about your point of the lunar subterranean. That would be very, very scary at this point. Doesn't have any sort of. She doesn't have any sort of hourglasses or anything to make some of those fights safer. But there's a crystal sword there, so that's a big help. That's a big help for both these runners.
Yeah, Eblin is gonna in this type of flag set. Eblin is going to provide good loot. Whether or not you can use it, you need the money. So I think Shira is going to be very close to 1 million. I'd be curious to see if she's tempted to turn it in right away once she gets to that mark, or if she was going to hold on to it, blitz that moon, and maybe, because she has more money, feel more emboldened to keep that Baron key when she finds it.
Yeah, you know, it depends on what's left over, but I think that's a very good point. You know, it's only one key item. It does potentially lead to 2 checks. Like I said, it could end up being a bit of a faster path than what Jabrun finds through the underground. So
yeah, the looting differential is important here. Jabrun's having a tougher time with some of these boxes. I don't know that comes down to the party, but certainly has seemed a couple extra. Everyone's seeing a few naps here because we're not terribly powerful in terms of experience, nor do we have to be.
Yeah, like you said, like we discussed earlier, that is the downside of payable Golbez. You know, you don't get the experience, you just get the luxury of seeing your problems go away. Yeah, another an Avenger there that Jabrun will probably sell, because it does seem like he's pretty committed to just paying his way through the seed. But yeah,
I'm actually surprised Jabrun's not looting aggressively here, but could be nearly out of inventory slots. I don't know, got lots of inventory slots.
I just don't think that Skull Staleman chest is much of a not the Skull Staleman, the double Staleman chest. That's just one of those fights that I hate taking. If I can avoid that fight, I'm happy to do so. Even with the equipment this party has, but it's still an annoying fight.
So Jabrun, with all the selling, including that Avenger, 2 crystal swords, Jabrun is under 500,000. So that gives us a pretty good idea that Shira will be over 1 million once she's done here in Eblin Castle. If she has enough money, she might feel emboldened to go right to that moon and start buying her way through the bosses as well. looks like Jbrun is going to start looting now that he's got a few more inventory slots. Hasn't looted everything, so maybe he's hoping to dodge the Staleman chest. But does need more money.
These fights are a little bit more on the path, so may just be focusing on what's more in range as opposed to taking the longer path around the edge. So is going to find Cecil there and not have a crystal sword for him. But again, I don't think that's going to be too much of a headache for Jbrun because again, I don't think Jbrun's going to actually be taking a fight here at any point in time.
Shira's going to go check the Chocobo Forest by Baron, looks like.
Yeah, on a Wildish flag set, this is one of my areas I like to go loot. These Chocobo Forests do have stronger gear. It's just going to take the refill from the white Chocobo probably before heading up to the moon. Or did she get all the chests out of
I'm
Evelyn?
pretty sure she got everything. Jbrun is going to be looting through... Oh, no, she's heading back to finish it off, so there must be one tower left. Jbrun is working his way through the upper tower of Babil, checking most, but not all chests.
Yeah, again, I think this is a case where Jbrun is prioritizing anything that's in relatively close to the path. Yeah, see, only a few steps there for that chest with the mute arrows there, as opposed to taking the longer walk down that bridge. So doesn't seem to be too worried about getting things here, but if it's convenient, might as well grab it.
Yeah, it feels like Jbrun's plan here is to open up as much of the world as possible, as quickly as possible, bribe his way through the bosses, not worry so much about the money, and then on the other side of things, just go grab as many chests once you've got what you need in terms of the 10 key items. So Val, $30,000, no Val fight, well worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely don't blame Jbrun for that. Is going to take the Dark Elf fight, but that should be fine because we do have weak on Fusoya, so as long as Jbrun can get to that second phase, the Dragon phase, should be able to cast weak on that and go ahead and make short work of him.
Yeah, Nuke and weak on the Fu should help take... He's bribed enough bosses now, Fu is powerful. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
You just give the bosses money and Fu intensifies and becomes a super wizard type fellow.
I don't know if I want to get into the ethical and moral implications of this.
Well, then we maybe shouldn't be commentating on the payable gold as seed. Folks, if you're joining us and you just joined us, we are playing a seed where we've got a couple interesting flags, one of which is we have to deliver $1 million to Tori, the other scientist in Agart. We have to deliver... Or we can pay bosses to go away 5 times the spot's hit point value. We have to go to the moon to find the hook. We know it's at Crystal Altar. And 10 key items and 3 boss checks are needed to get us through. And both runners have the 3 bosses. They were all at Ordeals.
And it looks like I was wrong. I could have swore I thought I saw weak on that Fusoya, but does not. So he's going to have to nuke through this, and that's a bit dicier. Dark Elf, the Dark Elf here is hitting this party pretty hard. Again, the low levels from buying their way through things.
Able to get through, though.
There we go.
Yeah, that Dark Elf going down did get pretty sketchy, but was able to get through. We'll get a little bit of experience, get a few levels on the Palom.
Yeah, there's weak.
Weak and Medio, those are the things you need.
Yeah. finding the pitfall, tripping up for, adventure since 35 years ago.
I remember my first time playing the game and the pitfall happened, and I just thought, of course, in this silly game, there's another curveball.
Golbet just sit there. Did you really think it was going to be that easy?
Shiro continuing looting. Gonna hit those hairdryer chests in a moment.
I don't think she's. I didn't see if she went to the Hummingway shop to sell off the gains from Evelyn Castle, but
not yet. I think that's probably what she's doing after this.
Yeah, because this should definitely put enough where not only can she afford have the money in the bank for Dr. Tori for the objective, but also be able to pay off a good chunk of the bosses here. So I would be surprised to see her well over $1 million after that sale.
So J-Brun didn't take the Rydia. We see that Shiro did. Shiro, of course, found a Bahamut orb early. I think it was an antlion. And as a result, because she went through that traditional route, when she got the chance to take Rydia, chose to keep her along for the ride, get her the Bahamut orb, and is significantly less concerned about these sorts of bosses and monsters. J-Brun finds the Earth Crystal we had at the Sid in the basement of Dwarf Castle. Gotta make sure I say that properly.
Yeah, that's not insignificant because that is a gated wildish treasury, so that could be the last infusion of cash that J-Brun needs after getting these 10 key items.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really good find for J-Brun. So for those who are just joining us, we are playing on the Gale Swift fork, and one of those options is to move the free key item from Troya, not to the Demas check, but down into the Dwarf Castle basement so that you get it once you get underground access. J-Brun's going to run into Mylon and friends, think about it for a moment, and decide, no, this one's not so bad.
Not at this point. This is a slightly tricky spot for Mylon and friends because of the magic attack is fairly high, so those lit ones actually tickle a little bit if you're not quite ready for it. But yeah, Nuke solves a lot of problems.
So I don't think Shiro did the Bahamut cave. He's going to take the fight and find the Magus sisters. Really interesting.
Yeah, this is not an easy fight. Bahamut's going to help, but needs to hope that Rydia doesn't get popped by one of these spells here.
I know I would have felt tempted to reset out. J-Brun finds a Baigan and an Edge. Says, no thanks, Edge. We're good.
May have taken the time to get Edge's stuff, but yeah. Again, all the good stuff they found, there's been Masamenes, Murasames, Ninja Swords, all the goodies you want for an Edge, but has had to sell them off for money so far, so.
There were a lot of goodies for Edge in this scene. I think we saw 4 or 5 of those top-tier swords. But that's okay, Edge. Maybe next time.
J-Brun is through the Baigan fight. Decide to fight that and save a few bucks. Again, makes sense. Starting to get to that point, starting to get to the power levels with this party that he can take these fights relatively efficiently. Fusoya's online, and Palm's online with Quake, so definitely has the ability to make shorter work of these fights. Shiro getting the X-Cal from the Magus Sisters fight since she didn't pay for it, she is going to keep that and walk out.
J-Brun's reward for the Dwarf Castle is the Tower Seed. Now, the warp glitch is not on. So if J-Brun wants to find out what's in the sealed cave, it's going to have to be the old-fashioned way. Wandering all the way down there and warping out. And it looks like he's going to go check Tomra, which is probably good. You need that loot. J-Brun especially.
Is Jaybrun going to be the hero of the people and talk to Job Dwarf? Yes, an incinerator technician. Some dwarves just want to see things burn.
So Shiro has walked out of the lunar subterrane to heal up and looks like we'll go back down.
Yeah, I don't know if these runners have found camping gear yet. Neither one of them really hit up the shops very much. They just went ahead and, they've been looting. Looks like she's going to hit the Cave Bahamut check here real now. Yeah, unfortunately, not getting that camping gear, you kind of do have to heal up where you can.
It's a really, really interesting proposition. I do think Shiro probably has the money on hand to actually bribe her way through the entire lunar subterrane and still walk out probably very close to that million, especially with some of the loot. But I can see the temptation here. If you got to leave, go and check the other thing that can be easily accessed from the surface. Hope you're going to hit the hook here. We know it's not going to pay out, but the logic makes sense.
Yeah, I agree that, you've got opportunities to do quick checks. Go ahead and do those. Go ahead and do those. I agree with you 100%, Veritas. That's
relatively quick checks. We are talking about the moon here.
Well, yeah. Now, one downside of the cash infusion we got at the start here, we don't get our normal of the types of kits that we're used to having. So no star avails. Don't think I saw white wall on any of these parties. So Shiro does seem committed to fighting rather than paying. This Golbez, this is definitely the kind of fight that you do want to spend the money on if you've got it, just because
that's a hard Golbez, and it looks like Shiro's going to go for it. Jaybrun finds the twin harp. Ooh.
Decides to reset out similarly to Jaybrun, Shiro, and yeah, twin harp. It's a key item check, but it's a slow one.
Shiro's going back in. I wonder what just for the items, maybe.
Maybe she was setting up for a fight. She checked her battle speed down to 6, but ended up bribing Golbez, and maybe that was an accident. It's easy enough to hit that button accidentally if you don't want to, because the default on the payable Golbez is yes. So may not have wanted to accidentally may not have wanted to pay off Golbez. May want to take that fight.
Yeah, that's a really interesting decision for sure. I didn't even see Jaybrun clearly bribed his way out of the cave, and fair enough. That fight can be pretty nasty.
Yeah, I mean, I say we haven't seen a lot of fights, mainly because we haven't had the opportunity because Jaybrun's paid him away. Shiro does enter that Golbez fight here at Cave Bahamut. We don't know where Ogopogo is, and that Ogopogo at Sealed Cave is not fun.
Yeah, really, really curious to see what Jaybrun does here. Now, this is an easy scum, I think. You bribe the king, you bribe the queen. Oh, you get the rat tail. Okay. And Jaybrun clearly needs to do a little bit of selling. I think it's the one time I've seen someone get that inventory boss and not load up on that screen to get rid of the junk. I think, no, we need to sell even the junk.
Yeah, both these runners have decided to get their money for that million gold objective by looting as much as possible, and which, as you can see, making a large chunk of change here doing that. So definitely a solid investment, but you do have to make sure you stop off and empty out that inventory periodically, because otherwise you just get bogged down with that.
Jabron finding sirens in the Feymarch shop. So that really opens up that potential to go to the moon and do pink puffs or gold dragons, something where you can really maximize your cash.
Yeah, it may be a little bit faster to take a couple fights on the moon at this point to try and get that gold up rather than continue looting. Take.
We've
But
got the antlion and the Leviathan.
yeah, that's Leviathan.
No thanks. Do not want a Stardust Rod. Will keep my money. Shiro's slowly getting through that Golbez fight.
Yeah, we do have Witch Bez on, so the abilities for the spells for Golbez and the attacks that the Shadow Dragon use are randomized.
Absolutely nothing in the Feymarch basement. Wow. Samurai arrows and a Stardust Rod. Not worth any of that money. J. Brown will keep his cash and warp out.
Yeah, it makes sense. The value is not, you're not making money on either of those investments, so just keep going. And looks like Jabron gonna be changing course and heading over to cash in that tower key at Lower Babel, and as well as probably check Tapa Tower. I like this. It's your densest check right now.
Yeah, J. Brown is sitting at 9 key items, so just needs to hit on one of these two spots, and then all J. Brown has to do is find money. Shiru throwing as much power as she can at the Golbez.
Yeah, sorry.
No. I didn't really have anything to say.
Okay.
I was just saying,
you see just how strong that see just how the Bahamut orb is. You also see that how strong that laser can be. Oof.
Shear's managed to accumulate quite a bit of power, but unfortunately, this is a tough fight, and Golbez is hitting like a brick right now.
Yeah, this is definitely a case where hoping that Bahamut's able to look at Golbez and say, "Get off my throne."
Jabron finds a sparkle on the top of the tower.
I don't think we're gonna find out what that sparkle is.
Well, my guess is Jabron's paying this guy off. He's got that Earth Crystal in hand, so knows he has the treasury to loot.
It was the D-Lunars.
All Jabron needs to do now that he's gotten that Sand Ruby is get out of this tower, go and find roughly 350,000 gold. He's going to hope he hits on some good tier items in the treasury, I would imagine. Meanwhile, Shiro's still working on this Golbez. Tough fight here. Cool.
It really is. Credit to Shiro for not only taking the fight, but also, seems to be, it's dicey, but seems to be in a situation where she does have it. Yeah, there we go. There is the Y. So very nicely done getting through that with a party that has good gear, but not a lot of experience to back it up. Very nicely done.
Yeah, great. The only challenge, of course, is when it comes to time. That was very time consuming.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not a key item. We kind of seen the path where Jabron is, but yeah.
If we get a chance to talk with our runners tonight, it will be very interesting to compare notes with them on how they chose to run this seed and how they chose bribery versus no bribery.
Yeah, I think that's that's kind of been the big difference here. Shiro being very thorough, amassing the cash, getting a very big nest egg early, but not utilizing the money as a resource in the same way that Jabron has, and Jabrun, right now kind of working to get that last little chunk of change. That curse ring is going to help for 33,000 gold. But is the downside is taking a lot longer getting through a lot of these fights as a result.
Yeah, Jabrun very aggressively committed to the bribe and save scum method of the moon. Is finding some pretty good stuff here in the treasury. I think we will very shortly see if it was enough to get him over the 1 million mark.
Yeah, he needs 400,000 gold from that treasury. I think that X-Cal goes a long way there in getting there.
Looks like Jabrun thinks he has it.
Yeah, heading right to Agar, gonna probably sell at that item shop in the inn, and we'll see.
Meanwhile, Shiro working down the lunar subterranean, heading to the checks down at the bottom there. 750,000, 820, 900,000.
We are there.
There we go. 2 white spears. I mean, yeah. Ooh. Jabrun's running out with a bag full of gold. Is he going to the wrong one? Oh, no.
Yep.
He did. He tried to give...
It's a new flag set. I absolutely made the same mistake when I was practicing it. So, but figuring out his mistake a lot faster than I did. So heading downstairs, talking to Dr. Tori, cashing in the gold, getting his last objective. Get your GGs in chat for Jabrun TR, our winner here tonight at 57 minutes and 16 seconds.
There we go. What a really interesting seed. What a really interesting flag set. GG's, of course, to Jabrun. We'll see if we get an interview here. Looks like Shiro kept her battle speed at 6 as she runs into the elements.
Yeah, not forgetting to change battle speed. Absolutely one of those things on the big list of runners that free enterprise runners have never done. Never.
This moon has some nasty bosses too.
Yeah, no. Elements is not too terrible here, but should be able to get through this fight with that Bahamut. But right now we are joined by the winner here tonight, Jabrun.
Yeah, how about that? A win on Restream.
Yay, way to go, Jabrun. GG's. I guess
that was fun.
My first question for you is how do you find the how did you find it? Like, your general impressions, I think, before we get into some specifics I'd like to ask you.
Well, finding the balance between buying off the bosses and saving money is really the trick. And certainly save scumming like most of the moon until I got the hook. That was probably key to saving money, because all those other spots other than Crystal Sword and Ribbon Room were just nothing. So yeah, pinching pennies when you can.
You definitely, and you'll see this on Restream, you have bribed a lot more than your opponent tonight. Does that make you feel dirty? Just paying money to all these bosses? Just get out of my way, here's some cash? Or, does it feel like you're going against the spirit of the game, I guess is my real question.
True. But the flag wouldn't be there if it wasn't meant to be used. So
you're not wrong. Mostly, it looked like you were bribing bosses once you found the Darkness Crystal, rocking through the overworld as quickly as possible. Did powering up the Foo come into mind when you were considering to run around and kind of pick off those bosses?
Yeah, as soon as I got the Foo, See, I went and did Ordeals first, I think. So that was 3. And those are 3 required bosses, too. So that was nice. Then I hit Mist Cave, and Waterfall, and Hobbs. So that was trying to get a few more spells on Fu. He didn't really have anything at the beginning that was pretty useful. But by the time we got down the hook route, he finally had Nuke. So that was able to take out the bosses that I needed to kill instead of bribe.
I'm not going to lie, Jabron, when you got to the first fight on Ordeals and you opened up Fu's black magic menu and saw it was Fire 1 and Venom, I laughed. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's... Seed's got jokes.
I could sense your disappointment. All right, so you saved Scum the Moon. Was there any thought about keeping the Baron Key? I know it was an expensive Baron Key, but was there any thought that's a key item, I need to spend some money to get to the 10 key items? Or were you thinking, okay, I've got Lunar, I'm going to find that Lunar access, and that should just open up a whole bunch of stuff?
Yeah, it was kind of trading, 2 checks for the whole underground. So that was kind of very much weighted in favor of the hook. And it worked out, so all the better.
Yeah, and later on, after you had the hook, we noticed that you were taking a few more bosses there. So I'm going to guess that it felt a little disappointing when you got to the underground, it got to the Fey Merchant. Just, I mean, obviously the Rat Tail, very nice, but then those 2 bosses, I think it was just a Stardust Rod and something, I don't remember, but it felt for a moment there like you needed the one item and you weren't getting it.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to go up tower, because that's a long walk.
And then you went up tower.
Yeah, had to do it anyway.
Now, once you had the Earth Crystal in hand, did that make you feel a little bit more free about feeling like you could spend money, knowing that the treasurer is probably going to pay out 300, 400,000?
Yeah, having, what was it, T-Wildish? Yeah.
Yep.
And treasury, I mean, that's big money. You can't pass that up. So pretty much, that was going to finish the game right there.
At any time did you consider trying to get money through fighting some of the regular enemies, or through those sirens that you found, or taking some of the boxes on the moon?
See, I wasn't really set up for taking any of the boxes, especially the LST, because it was just Fu with Nuke, nobody else doing pretty much anything. So yeah, it was gathering treasures and just selling things. And the sirens were just in case I had to fight something that Fu couldn't get through by himself. But didn't need them, so got the money back. Well, half the money back.
Yeah, you were still selling at the end when you got over $1 million, so I think you were A-okay on your cost assessment there for the 5 sirens. Yeah, any final thoughts? Anything you want to share?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah, this was fun. So thank you all for the restream. Tracking and commentary and beauty. Doing all the hard work behind the scenes. Keeping the stream up and running. So, yeah. See you all in the next one.
Okay. GG, J. Brun. Thank you for joining us.
GG's. Thanks.
Take care, J. Brun. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, so we'll head back over to Shiro, who is still working her way through the Lunar Subterranean, working on a Rubicant. I believe that's at the Masamune spot.
It is.
throwing out Bahamut, doing everything she can. She's going to have a powerful party by the time this is done. But
yeah, standing in against some very tough fights here on the moon. Jabron using the Payable Golbez flag, avoided a lot of very difficult fights, and yeah, this is not a lunar subterranean that I really would have liked to have fought, especially, you know, the party is fairly strong, and you know, with each of these fights, it's getting stronger and stronger. So you know, at least Shiro's got the team to do it. But yeah, even with a strong party, I would not want to fight a Rubicon here at the Masame altar.
yeah, that is a tough fight. Rex, our incredible tracker, has postulated whether or not Shiro has forgotten its win game versus win crystal. And I suppose it's possible someone we're going to have to put on the list if we're lucky enough to have her join us for an interview once this particular seed is done. I have to think that she is just being as thorough as possible. Just a very thorough runner, and always has been.
Yeah, that's likely. May just not want to sacrifice that gold at this time with that $1 million gold objective. But you know, it may not be as efficient as throwing the money at all of her problems, but you know, does take down a Rubicon at the Masamune altar. Very nicely done.
Yeah, honestly, I have to say, Shiro is handling these very tough fights with a party that was not necessarily in the most powerful state you would expect when you first go to the moon. Is handling these fights extremely well, and is showcasing
Absolutely.
some incredible runner skills in doing it. So if you are wondering how to handle high-level bosses and tough moon spots while on a mid-level party, this might be a good one to watch, because Shiro has pulled out some interesting tricks and some interest, and just really, really handled these fights with aplomb.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even getting through that, especially getting through that Golbez at that cave Bahamut without any sort of any sort of star veils to make it easier. And though I'm a little concerned here, it does look like she's warping out. I didn't see her do the Crystal Sword altar. She's got that Baron key, but I don't think she did the Crystal Sword altar.
I think this is fading the Crystal Sword altar. We know this is not the correct choice. I understand it, though. She's got to be feeling behind. Jabron's been done for 10 minutes now. And if she's seen that, she could be wondering if, you know, there's a lot. It's tough. It's tough. You've spent a lot of time already. I get it. Oh, but we're going back to the moon? Yeah, we're gonna grab that crystal. Okay.
Accidentally went to the controls rather than the crystal, unfortunately.
Things I've never done as well.
Yeah,
you know? It's just all these things that have happened only on this stream, and never, ever.
Yeah, no.
Another time.
Again, we laugh. It's sort of a grim laugh, because again, we've both been there enough times where you just kind of go, "Yep, been, you know, that happens. That you feel silly, but you know, so it goes."
I mean, I can't speak. I am not skilled at this game. I enjoy it. I enjoy racing against myself, but I have crashed the Enterprise into the Baron Castle more times than you can count.
Yeah. Shiro is going to go to the Baron Key. Unfortunately, she's not going to find the hook through here. We saw in the spoiler roll on Jabron's side that the magma key is behind one of the Sheila checks, so isn't going to be able to get bailed out by that, and don't believe would be with the force hook anyway. So
that's right, force hooks. So there's no way that Shiro finds advancement here. May find some key items. I didn't see the full spoiler roll. I was too busy chatting with Jabron, but we know that what she needs is behind the crystal altar on the moon. Still showing a lot of gut determination to continue on with this seed. So I think she's doing an excellent job working through this again in a very methodical fashion.
Yeah, and with that experience from the moon, should be able to make relatively short work here of pretty much anything that can be down here. Obviously, a wyvern can always be a headache, but
we do have Witchburn on now. Be Unsafe is on, which means that Witchburn could give Wyvern a more powerful attack. I don't know what's more powerful than Mega Nuke, but it's, I guess, theoretically possible. However, Shiru is going to fight that turtle we knew was there from the beginning. Then we'll see either who's in the throne in the basement or the throne in the main hall.
Yeah, I'm going to be relying on that Baham Blast here, and yeah, you know what happens to a turtle when it gets hit by Mega Nuke? The same thing that happens to everything else.
And honestly, that Rydia with that Bahamut has done serious work for Shiru in terms of the power, in terms of getting through these really tough fights. It really is just kind of a button you can press over and over again to get what you want.
Yeah, there are certain things in free enterprise that can go a long way in giving you that that power to start really just cracking a seed open. You know, obviously, runners are always ecstatic to see Cecil with a holy sword because you do the big manly numbers. Kane or Cecil and the Avenger falls under that list. But Rydia with Bahamut, having that high-powered AoE. It is an expensive spell to cast, but she gets her MP up pretty quickly. It can be a very quick way of blasting through a lot of these bosses and just, you know, making your way through and really getting that momentum to power through, especially in the early to mid game. So
I just realized I said everything I said without pressing the push to talk.
I wasn't sure if I was having issues with the call myself, so no worries.
I said if the D-Mysticid is the true king of Baron, or true ruler of Baron, does that make Rydia the princess of Baron? Randomizers do funny things to a game story.
Yeah, she certainly has been the hero of the seed for Shiro here. So between Bahamut and the nuke on Fusoya, I definitely think that Rydia has earned that tiara here tonight.
It'll be really interesting to talk to Shiro. I'm really curious to hear about what her strategy, what her thought was going to some of these fights, and where the decision came around looting and the decision came around bribing versus not bribing. She's capped out her inventory space. So we have to think that at some point after this, finishing off the Baron Castle, she is going to sell. That should get her well over $1 million. She has a lot of good loot in there.
Yeah, no, she's definitely gotten herself in position, taking advantage of some of those more obscure locations here on the blue planet to build up that inventory and those cash reserves. You know, Jabron, particularly on the moon, only had enough money really for one check, and you know that's why you saw the save scumming that he did. You know, passed on the Baron key that Shiro is currently exploring here, but definitely, definitely showing off that on T Wildish that if you go into some of those out of the way places, you can find some good gear that can help a party out.
Looks like Shiro's maybe AFK here again. I wonder if she's seen the dot done and is making a decision.
Yeah, I may just need a few seconds to step away and take care of something real quick.
That's
It's certainly been there in the past. I will admit to having checked the package or the Twin Harp to buy myself the 45 seconds or so to go run and take care of something real quick, refill water or whatever.
That's right, folks. Real life comes first, so always remember that's the most important thing. So I think this has been a really interesting flag set, but I have a question for you. And this is something I'm throwing out just entirely to fill time, but I do think it's an interesting question. How do you think this seed would have gone if it was Win Crystal instead of, or, Win Crystal instead of Win Game?
That's an interesting question. I think that you probably would have seen. I still think you would have seen a lot of runners tending towards paying off, particularly with the underground access being hard gated by the moon and the hook. I think you still would have had. I still think that a lot that you would see people that would spend the money on getting through those bosses, foregoing those large chunks of experience, and then trying to get those 10 key items and then finding sirens in the shops, or failing at that, getting it, hoping that Edge is here, which I don't believe we've got the C maybe flag on, so Edge was going to be around somewhere.
Yeah, we found an Edge in Dwarf Castle, if you recall.
Yeah, no, I was kind of going there with just the philosophical more of an actual one. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we are going to see all the characters if you dig deep enough. Shiro going to go find out who the fake King of Baron is. It turns out the fake King of Baron was a computer. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Very, very dystopian, very fitting.
Shouldn't have any problems getting through this with a Quake or two.
Yeah, Quake, Bahamut, plenty of high damage AoE options that laugh at the wall. So
yeah, not a lot of hit points in this particular spot. Not for the level of power that Shiro has been able to accumulate during the siege.
Yeah. But I definitely think that I could see a lot of runners deciding just to go ahead and ignore the moon or in experience and just hope for sirens or even a D machine. It's even a D machine grind to get those levels for a Z fight. So, bosses take time. Having the ability you saw here, Shiro using a lot of skill to get through the fights, and Jabrun just using the simplest route and just avoiding the fights altogether.
Yeah, just opening the wallet and making the problems go away. One might say that he made them offers they couldn't refuse.
Well, the old saying, everybody's got a price.
Well, tonight it's Tori, not Corey, who's the $1 million man. So
right, Shiro does get another key item here. Gets the spoon. So the Baron key did get another key item.
And that does mean Shiro will have to go back to the moon. I think that's the only thing left, is to check that one altar, and now it is selling all the stuff time.
Yeah, should be more than comfortable to get that million. Yeah, those two events.
There it is. There's the 1 million. I'd keep selling because you're going to want to bribe once you get back to the moon.
Yeah,
sell
swords. Yeah.
All right, 300,000 extra. Gonna double check equipment. It looks like.
Yeah, it says she's still committing to taking fights as much as possible. I say, obviously the crystal sword is a big target. Would be more than enough to pay for pretty much anything.
I think Shiro forgot that the flag was different there for the key item.
Yeah.
Ooh,
that is a hard habit to break with these with that flag and the Gale Swift fork here. You're so used to, if it's not key item, if it's not a free check, then you just go ahead and get the the Rydia's mom check. So that's a very easy mistake to make, and glad she caught it.
Absolutely. I know for me, of all the free item manipulations in the Gale Swift fork, I think that this is my favorite, but I'm not sure how much I like any of them. I kind of like the D-Mist Hunt, the randomness of it. Instead of guaranteeing that gate move, I get why you want to shut it off from time to time because it turns off that cheeky Zot 1 check. But in general, I think for me, that's my preferred flag.
Yeah, and I agree that the D-Mist Hunt adds a nice bit of spice to most flag sets because you do have that random search, that random hunt. I do think that adds a lot to it. As far as making some things a little bit more interesting. But, it depends on the flag set, depends on you talk about every time you play the randomizer, it tells a different story. A lot of these flag sets have their own story that they're telling. I mean, this flag set here, very much that push and pull of, you need a lot of the resource of money. How much do you want to spend to speed things up versus trying to claw it back later? So it depends. It depends. I think it works for this flag set, but generally I do agree. I do think that the D-Mist adds that nice little bit of that curveball to most flag sets to kind of potentially give runners an out if they're running behind.
I think why I like the modification, this flag says, was we're already doing a boss hunt, right?
Right.
So I like the ability to turn it off and not just replace it with Free Edward and Torreya check. So I do think that there is value, and definitely every seed has its own story to tell, like you said, which is such a lovely poetic way to put it. But yeah, just speculating on some of the interesting Gale Swift options here, because it is I know in the All Forked Cup we examined quite a lot of those options, but certainly not all. And Free Enterprise is growing. We're moving to 5.0, which is currently an alpha. And if you are interested in playing Free Enterprise, you can always head over to our website, FF4FE.com. You can roll up your own seed. You can find our Discord link there, and I'm sure Beauty will be putting it in the chat right now as I'm saying this. There's lots of ways to play. We have some community clubs that are running on the current full version. We have some community clubs running on the alpha version. So there are lots and lots of options for you to explore. And I guarantee you, anyone there will help you out, even if you've never played Final Fantasy Free Enterprise before. Looks like Shear's decided it's time to spend that money and has gotten herself a hook.
Yeah, our tracker in the chat a little bit ago, Rexel, said was probably focusing on that $1 million target because that's a lot of money in Free Enterprise. That's 500. That's 2 adamant armors, which cost 500,000 gold apiece. That's a lot more money than you're normally going to have in a flag set. So I appreciate the budgeting. But now not having that debt looming over her head, so to speak, is able to spend that money and make up some of that time.
I imagine Shear's probably going to loot pretty aggressively once we get to the Eblin Cave. Probably wants to have a little bit of extra money on hand for some bribes when she gets down to the bottom. But this seed should be pretty quick for her to get through. She's got all the power in the world if she decides to fight any of these underground. There's nothing down there that's going to slow her down.
No, and does have a couple of extra key items as well as far as what Jabrun had. I do think she's also got the crystal and the pink tail as well. I thought I saw in her inventory a little bit ago. But those 2 key items right there alone means that's fewer checks she's going to have to deal with when she gets to the underground.
Yeah, the crystal was at Baron Inn, and I absolutely missed where the pink tail was hiding. So
I think that was the ant line, which we had that little bit of interruption. So
that makes sense, and I can confirm Sheer did exit out of Antline because I pulled up her stream while she was down. I missed the boss fight though. All right, so Shearer's going to see that Cecil, I can't imagine, is going to take him at this point.
No, mate. Take his gear and keep running. But she did keep the crystal sword, so she may be tempted to take him.
I mean, I'm always tempted to take Cecil. Oh, nope.
No.
Nope. Goodbye.
This is the right answer. This is the right answer. And Crystal Sword Cecil is literally probably one of the few exceptions after you've done this much grinding and getting experience, just because of how powerful that sword is. But when you've done all the fights that Shiro's done, if we had to fight Zeramas, she'd be pretty close to being ready for it. So, yeah, I don't think
even the sealed cave boss, even the bosses down the Fame Arch, nothing is going to slow Shiro down here.
No.
She has all the power she needs. She does not need a paladin with a big holy sword. She might want one. I know in my heart of hearts, I always want one. but want and need are two different things. This is free enterprise.
Yeah, you've got a small child with a dragon god backing her up. You've got an old mop with nuclear capabilities, and you've got some guy that punches for a lot more than a dragoon can swing a sword. So yeah.
Here's some money, Val. Go away. We will not be seeing anyone fight Val this seed, and I'm, for one, am fine with that.
Yeah, Valvalis, one of those fights that's just, even when you do have power, because of the evasion from that tornado form in most spots, just is annoying. And the Gale Swift fork does have some tweaks to the values, so yeah, just go away, please.
So I think she needs 3 key items, because I do think she has the crystal. I believe that was at Baron Inn.
Yeah,
and I think that's where the Rydia was as well. So definitely has that. So 3 key items. We know there are key items available in the Sealed Cave. We know the Rat Tail, and we know the top of tower.
And Sid have a... Yeah, Sid had the Earth Crystal, and Sid had the Earth Crystal as well in the Dwarven Infirmary.
So 2 freebies and the Harp in the Sealed Cave. The Tower Key, I believe that was Dwarf Castle. So there's lots of options here. Shiro should be through this seed pretty quickly.
So, yeah,
makes sense. She's going to go for 3
freebies.
Yeah, 3 freebie and 2 quick checks. We know that the quick checks aren't going to pay out, but she is going to get the Rat Tail out of this.
So, may have to stop off and sell a couple more things just to build that back up, because those Fame Arch bosses, they have a good chunk of hit points as well, so they're not going to be cheap. Again, this flag set does have the payable Golbez flag on, so the runners can bribe the bosses to go away, but it's at the cost of 5 times their HP value, the HP value of the spot. So yeah, those are 100,000 gold in some cases.
Looks like Shiro is going to do this the old-fashioned way. 18,000 gold is not enough to bribe these particular enemies. So she's going to start with the Antlion. Not enough GP.
That's...
Yeah, we're going to reset, and I would think is going to go head over to the shop and sell what she's got.
Yeah. Maybe after a heal would have been in good shape. But yeah.
Oh no, we're going to go for it. Okay. Well, we're going to get to see some more fights, and fights are always fun, so I'm not complaining.
Antlion, for this party, Antlion isn't the word. Is this party's a little bit better set up for Antlion. The physical attacks are going to hurt Kek, but because the main source of damage from and Bahamut is going to avoid a lot of those counters. Yang won't be doing too much.
2 blink casters as well really means if you're really that worried about defense, you can get some defense up pretty quickly.
Yeah, defense be good. as Antlion reminds Palom. Ouch, that was a big hit.
Not very nice, that Antlion punching a small child square in the mouth. And an old man. It's just, this is not great. This is not good for your PR, Antlion.
Really, the DMCN Royals did not teach this Antlion any manners.
They kept telling me that it was docile and kind, but we know the truth. We know the truth.
Yeah.
Antlion is a lunar monster.
Visiting the Feymarch.
King of the Feymarch, secret moon monster, pet of the royal family of Damsine. Antlion's got a lot of titles. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. But Shiru getting the fight a little bit more stable here. Those blinks coming in clutch, keeping Rydia safe. Already getting about 20,000 damage between those two Bahamut blasts.
Fu's gonna throw nukes at the Antlion, keep him keep him toasty warm.
Yeah,
but down goes Rydia.
Yeah, just before the blink goes, because of course.
That's always the way. Looks like Rosa will make it through at least a couple punches from the Antlion, so that's helpful.
Yeah, I think might have that white robe as well as at least one of the crystal rings we found on Rosa. So that's a really strong defense right there.
Looks like Shira's just going to try to get through with the nukes.
Yeah, this should do it. I think that will be close to 32,000 on this one. And of course, even with the low roll, and let the Fu's nuke is enough.
All of that for those samurai arrows. We know that the Leviathan that is one step to the side, we know the Leviathan will not pay off as well.
Yeah, that's not a these two fights were not very kind. Antlion, as you can see, high physical attack, and then that Leviathan's gonna get a buff based both because of the speed of the Asura spot, but also the magic attack's pretty strong.
Yeah, that is a rough spot. But Shiro is gonna gut this out and go take on that boss.
Yeah, no, she's, like I said, that's, you said earlier, this has been a seed where if you kind of want to learn how to take some awkward fights, especially without necessarily having that super strong party, Shiro is definitely putting on a bit of a clinic here as far as how to get through these seeds. If you're ever taking on one of our more challenging flag sets, Shiro's kind of showing the way here as far as how to make your way through. And honestly, I think most of these fights have been first try that she's taken the first real crack at it too.
Yeah, there's been she hasn't bounced off anything. It's been really well fought, and like I said, I recognize that obviously the strategy and vis-a-vis fighting the bosses and bribery clearly won, but from a technical perspective and from an entertainment perspective, watching her go through these bosses so methodically has been so much fun.
Yeah, you asked Jay Brun earlier how he's gonna sleep with the guilt of paying his way through. Shiro definitely is gonna have a clean conscience here. Definitely a hard-earned way through this seed.
Yeah, absolutely no shame with picking a strategy, deciding what it is, and executing on it. This is such a different flag set from what we're usually seeing, even on Community Race Night, that there are really no wrong answers. You got to approach it and see what works. And community races, a lot of times, people are running those for the first time. It's fun. So you're going to see all sorts of weird stuff. And that's what we've seen here is Shiro picking a strategy, executing on it, recognizing maybe that it wasn't the most successful, but still going, hey, this is what I'm doing. Let's get through it.
Yeah, and in the future, as we start to as the people in our community that are really talented at crafting these flag sets start to experiment with all the new toys at their disposal, as far as these new flags that are being added in the Gale Swift fork, and as we get the 5.0 version of the main branch going. Somebody might be watching this and seeing how this $1 million objective is affecting things, and down the road we may see this flag set again without the payable Golbez, and Shiro's approach will be very strong.
Or we make it so it's win crystal, or we can go up to $2 million for Tori. Maybe we change the boss hunts around, make more of them required. There's lots and lots and lots of options here. This is just the beginning of this sort of exploration on these flags. It's brand new, we're just getting, like you said, just dipping our toe in, and the runners and the club designers, they're going to use those flags to tell what you so poignantly put, to tell some really interesting new stories. Take this very old, very perfectly programmed game and use it to do something new and never before seen. And I think that is kind of the beauty of the community and the beauty of the randomizer setup that we have here.
Yeah, no, I can't take full credit for that. One of our previous clubs, the Baron Heroes Journey, was very meticulously crafted as far as creating a wonderful story for the hero of that particular seed. So definitely learned from that flag set as far as how well you could take what available to kind of create your game and create your story there. So definitely Alchemy deserves the credit for that one.
There we go. Hey, there's nothing wrong with taking a great quote and passing it on. We are going to see Shiro get through those bosses in Dwarf Castle with 0 challenge. Get what's hanging around Luca's neck, which is a key, like it normally is. This time it's the tower key. All Shiro has to do now is head downstairs and chat with Sid, and should be done. Downstairs. Downstairs.
Again, out of the way a bit of an out of location, before this flag, I hadn't checked this area since playing the vanilla game. So but that is 10 key items. GG to Shiro. Very nicely done.
Way to go, Shiro. Way to stick with it and get through here. We'll see if we have Shiro pop in for an interview. Yeah. What an interesting flag set. I think this is one of my favorite ones just to watch from the disparity perspective. Really, really unique.
Yeah, no, I think, again, it's, this is one of the first times we've seen the money objective flag. So it was interesting seeing how the runners approached it. And I think, I do think I'll be curious to see from Shiro how much that affected her decision, how she spent. Because that was, yeah, I'll be honest. When I was kind of trying to figure my way through a seed here, I wasn't quite sure how to take a bite at this apple.
Looks like Shiro's going to join us in a minute here. Yeah. It's. I do think there are probably ways, like there are probably a bunch of different ways to do it. There are probably ways to balance out the right grind with bribery, and if you find sirens early, what does that unlock? So I think there's still a lot of potential just with these flags for runners to exploit them, learn them, find something new to do. So yeah, really, really fascinating.
Yeah, no, and one thing that always amazes me is that the runners of this community are very adaptable. If you throw a new challenge in front of them, they will absolutely figure out how to approach it. You take away things they take away things that they're used to, they will find a way to make up for it. So uh, yeah, as they again, I talked earlier about about seeing what the flag set runs these new toys. It'll be interesting to see how the runners take these apart and kind of come up with the new metas as we start utilizing them more.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a really fascinating time as we approach the official release of Free Enterprise 5.0. We are going to see a lot, just so many possibilities, and I believe that means we are now joined by Shiro. Shiro, GG's.
GG, Shiro.
GG.
I'm not seeing. I heard a little static, and that was it.
Oh, GG. I might have a bad microphone.
Oh, I heard you that time, so we're good.
Yep.
So, obviously, this one, your strategy was to fight those bosses, and it looked like you were trying to get to the million before you started throwing out bribes. Do you want to talk to us about kind of why you decided on that strategy and why you decided to stick with it as the seed went on?
So, like, the way I saw it, I still needed to do that goal, so I really needed the money first. And since you get to keep it, then I could bribe my way to the rest of the key items, which is kind of what I did. I got to skip, I think, around 3 different fights that might have taken a while. But that was mostly why I did it, since I had to do the gold anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. I think if you choose to watch back, Jaybrun chose to save scum the moon. So he did not loot nearly as extensively as you did, had just enough money to pay off one boss at a time, and went through and paid off one boss at a time until he found the hook. When you committed to the Baron key and that didn't pay out, how was that feeling?
The thing was, I almost wanted to go for the last check on the moon, but like, I kept feeling like, okay, if I go there, that's at least 2 checks. I'm strong enough to do it. So I think it's worth skipping this last one. But I swear, I kept checking the flag set and thinking, oh god, is it that it isn't gonna be on the moon and I accidentally skipped something on the overworld or something like that? I think I even had one time where I almost, after getting demissed, went back to the village and was like, oh, right, it's Sid this time. So, little things like that.
Yeah, we definitely marked that when that happened. And it is confusing. It's such a unique flag set. Overall, what would you say your impressions of the money hunt and the option to dismiss bosses via bribery was?
So, I've played maybe 1 or 2 bribery seeds before, but never in combination with getting 1,000,000 gold. So usually what I've seen the best strat is to just collect as many items as you can, sell them, and just bribe as many people as you can, as many bosses as you can. But, like, this is a little different. Like, I need to save the money, then I can bribe the bosses. So it was kind of a little different. I didn't think to save scum the bosses. I probably should have, but yeah, that one didn't cross my mind. I was just thinking I might need the levels, or maybe there's more than one key item, or maybe if I find one, I'll have to check another boss, something like that. So that just didn't cross my mind. I probably would have saved a ton of time doing that.
I don't think. I think with such a different flag set, I think it's completely natural for that to not cross your mind. You know, like it's different. We're so used to getting that experience to needing it. Jay Bren definitely finished at a much lower level than you did. But one thing I want to commend you on is the way you took some extremely difficult bosses on the moon. Roddy and I were saying, like, every time you ran into a boss, because there had been save scumming, we hadn't seen those bosses. So we're watching you run into just difficult boss after difficult boss. The Golbez, the Elements, the Magus Sisters, Ruby. So as we're watching that, we're thinking, holy smokes, just you went up there, not even like upper mid levels. How do you feel about taking those tough moon bosses? How do you feel about your performance handling them in the actual encounter?
I think, like, for one, I know I kind of like using BS6. While on one hand it took extra time, I feel like knowing my skill level, I couldn't have done it on something like BS3. But I think the thing that helped the most in general is there have been so many alpha flag sets where the lag's reduced, and I got used to playing those for so long that honestly things like BS1 feel easier than they used to. So I think that helped a little bit. Though there were a couple things I did wrong by accident, like, well, actually, I should have bribed Golbez just to find out what he had, but then I just immediately reset. But that was, in my mind, a mistake at the time, which I'm a little surprised that one went well.
Yeah, you took that fight with no star veils. I don't think you had a wallcaster, but you dug in and you took care of that fight pretty well.
I definitely know what you mean about getting the extra practice on the alpha flags, because the first time I ran into Zeromus with the lag fix on, I got plastered. So it's definitely made me have to play better and smarter. So you could definitely see that it's paid off. Like I said, I thought it was really well done. And there are some examples there for anyone who's wondering how you handle some tough fights. So yeah, well done. Any final thoughts overall on the flag set or on the seed? Anything you want to share?
I think it was a lot of fun. I do think that I would have to play something like it a little bit more to get better at it, but overall I thought it was really interesting. Like forcing the hook route, making it possible that it could be on the moon, and of course it was. I feel like that kind of opens the door for interesting strategies. So I'd play this again.
Awesome. Roddy, anything you want to ask before we let Shira go?
No, just want to say again, GG, great job getting through those lunar fights. Tremendous job there.
Yeah, GG's, congratulations. And thank you for running. It was a real pleasure to watch.
Thanks, it was fun to play.
All right, folks, so that's going to bring us to the end of the stream. We want to say thanks to each and every one of you for watching here at twitch.tv/freeenterprise. We want to say thanks to Shiro and Jbrun for running. Please follow our runners. They are stupendous, and they are worth your time and your follows. Beauty, thank you so much for putting this on. Rexol for pressing the buttons and making all the fancy colors light up. And Roddy, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for being here with me.
Always good commentating always fun commentating with Veritas. Always a pleasure. Very interesting. First time we've had a money objective here on Restream, so was exciting to be part of something new and different with you.
This was a really interesting, really fun time. Folks, if you are interested in joining us, you can check out our Discord. The link is in the chat right now. If you're watching this back on YouTube, it will be down below. FF4FE.com. Roll up some seeds, or you'll find all our links there. We'll be back next week with another community race. My name's been Veritas Knight, and it's been a real pleasure to talk to you, and hopefully you've had a great time watching these incredible runners run through this real interesting flag set. On behalf of everyone here on the Restream team, have a great night, and we will see you next week.